Hello, we're live. This is episode 10 of the Eager to
10.
Hear. Yes, episode 10 of our Eager to Hear podcast.
It's been that many?
It has been that many. We're in the double digits already. We have here Ray Heckert,
Howdy.
a fabulous photographer from Omaha, Nebraska.
Paradise, kind of.
Whoa. Did they make steaks there? Is that where the steaks come from?
That they do. I don't know how many people in Omaha you'll find that actually eat Omaha steaks, but I hear it's not bad.
Wait, what is that? What is an Omaha steak?
It's just a giant steak company that does mail order meat. Basically, they'll make a lot of outbound calls around Christmas time and try to sell you, gift baskets with steaks and all sorts of different cuts of meat, along with hams and normal Christmas shit. But that's probably their biggest time of year. But it's a lot of just mail order steak.
So they ice it and send it to you, or how does that work?
Yeah, dry ice, packaged in a giant, usually fairly large styrofoam, square container, and priority shipped, I would imagine.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about it. They seem to like it. I just I haven't bothered. It's one of those things. Living in Omaha, Nebraska, you got to kind of raise your eyebrow when you hear the words fresh seafood. So that's usually why meat seems to be a little more prevalent. The seafood we get can be dodgy, being that it has to travel.
Yeah, you're not near the ocean, so I mean.
Yeah, it has to come a ways. There's a bit of a journey.
So are your photos? Are they primarily taken in like your hometown?
Yeah. I guess that's the kind of thing is I'll get heat from people. I'll put hashtag Omaha, and they're just so people that are looking through that hashtag see my work, and I'll get questions every now and then. Well, this wasn't taken anywhere near Omaha. This was 15 minutes outside of Omaha, or 20 minutes.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Long story short, it's Nebraska. It all looks pretty close the same. I live in Omaha, so it's pretty much Omaha surrounding area. Usually when we get closer to the winter months, when everything kind of starts to die and turn brown, and I'll usually start to do a little bit more city stuff. The city shots are a little bit more evergreen. You take a shot of a city at night, you can't necessarily tell if it's January, February, or June. It's just a city at night. Unless there's snow or something that straight gives it away. But that's usually my method.
Yeah, I noticed. I have your Instagram up on the stream here. Seems like you have a lot of like vehicles. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, actually it is. It's one of those things where it's I started out like in high school kind of being a car enthusiast. I went to school for car stuff. I ended up working at a couple of different dealerships, and I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where you like something and then you get a job in it and then you start to learn a little bit too much about it and it kind of sours your whole experience with it. I don't know if that makes sense, but
that makes sense. Yeah, I completely understand that.
With certain crowds in the car crowd, it's just like I've had enough. But obviously I still appreciate mainly anything transportation. Cars, trains, planes, and whatnot.
And air balloons, hot air balloons.
Yeah. I guess I should be. If you want to shoot me a link to the stream, I should have done my homework and should have had that up. That way I can see what you're looking at.
Oh yeah, I can totally do that. Let me find
Perfect.
it.
Yeah, those hot air balloons. That was they call it junk stock, which I don't know how popular that idea is or how prevalent that idea is, but it's the only thing I've kind of seen around here, and it's fairly staged as far as like it's like a swap meet, but imagine like a really bougie swap meet that's very, very Instagram friendly. I guess I would say there's a lot of there's a lot of setup to it and whatnot, but it's pretty cool. There's just a ton of antiques, and they've been making a bigger and bigger deal out of it every year. with hot air balloons and Ferris wheels and adding a few random things. So I figured I'd head out there that night and see what I could grab. But
So it's an event that you go to, and it's set up for Instagram photos.
You'd walk in there thinking that it's actually a more or less a swap meet of antiques. They call it junk stock, but most of the stuff is repurposed artwork. So, like, let's say if someone had like a tailgate to a 1946 Ford and they made a park bench out of it, right? Or if someone was making birdhouses out of old license plates. Stuff like that, but it's presented in such a way that it's very trendy. Like, they have, instead of like a traditional swap meet where someone pulls in, they set up a folding table and they just have milk crates full of just random screwdrivers and random crap. These are almost set up like it's a traveling antique show. It's really weird. I'll see if I can pull up a couple of different photos. Just, I don't know, just the oddity of it is kind of interesting. But sorry to kind of divert there, but yeah, majority of the photos are in or around Omaha, Nebraska, sometimes Iowa. I try not to.
Yeah, I put the videos in the Discord there. That should be.
Good deal.
I gotta get my Instagram back. Okay.
No worries. No worries. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. There's kind of a delay. There's probably like a 4 or 5 second delay when you look at it. So, I mean, I just have like your front page. Just kind of scrolling through it.
So, is this more of a hobby, or do you wanna become pro?
It's one of those things that I'm actually kind of nervous about, because it reminds me of the whole automotive situation where it starts as a hobby, something you enjoy, and then you say, well, I think I'd like to get a job in this field, and that's when I think you got to be, or at least with me, I have to be careful with how I make that maneuver, because I don't want to be stuck taking elementary school photos. I mean, Granted, that would get your foot in the door, but I have a feeling that would be maybe one of the most soul-crushing photography jobs you could probably get.
For sure.
So
would you say that maybe expanding the...
Yeah, absolutely. Wedding photography, I would say, out of everything, has probably I've shown the most interest in that. As far as the competitiveness, once again, it's a crazy competitive field, so it's tricky to get in and make yourself kind of stand out without basically giving your work away. So that can be fairly tricky. But I would say wedding or commercial photography, I wouldn't be opposed to doing that in the future by any means.
Is there anything else you wanted to take pictures of that you haven't done before that has been interesting to you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like my batshit crazy idea is I want to buy either I'd call it a Sprinter van. They're like a cargo van or maybe even a school bus or a city bus, and I want to convert it to basically a motorhome. But instead of buying an RV that's meant for RVing, I would build this to my specifications. It's going to have a desk and a place to edit, an edit bay and all that shit. And basically, I would just want to travel around and take photos of as much as I possibly can. It really doesn't matter to me. Granted, I'm drawn to nature and automotive and transportation related things, but I'll really shoot anything. I mean, if there's something to shoot, I don't have a problem shooting it, and I can usually find something that I at least like out of the set that I shoot, And there's times I could shoot maybe 600 shots and keep 100 of them, So even if it's something that I'm not super stoked about shooting, everything there's a good shot to be had of. I don't care if it's a can of Coke or a Ferrari. There's you could get a really bad shot of the Ferrari too. In the same token.
Is that the type of thing where you would carry your camera with you everywhere just in case something comes up you think you need to take a picture of?
Yeah, I actually do. I take it everywhere with me, and it's as much of a pain in the ass as it is. It's also a huge windfall when something pops up. It's usually weather related is what I find, at least, especially living in the Midwest. Driving home at rush hour especially, that's usually when these thunderstorms and stuff will really pick up and develop, and you can change your mind. Instead of driving home, you can track something or keep an eye on it, whereas if you had to go home for the camera, that's going to add who knows how much time. So I try to keep it with me, but at the same time I'm also I'm also extremely overprotective of it too. So it's really unhealthy, as far as just worrying about the thing being in the car and all that. But overall, it's been worth basically keeping it with me wherever I go.
Yeah, I can understand spending a pretty penny on a camera. You don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
So so a lot of storm clouds I see, and
back here.
So how did the photo guy situation happen?
How did it happen? I would have to say it started with a cell phone camera. I would say everyone has had that moment where they take a really good shot with a cell phone. It's definitely possible, even more so today. And there was nothing stopping anyone from taking a decent shot, 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, within reason. And that kind of set me on a path to where, my ex-boss's wife was selling her old camera, and since we kind of knew each other, I got a pretty good deal on it. And I was like, nothing ventured, nothing really gained. It's only, a couple $100, and it will obviously take some decent photos, and it'll be a good start. And that's kind of where it started. And that's the other thing about Instagram is it's also kind of a problem with Instagram too, is it's an instant reward. You post and then you get instant feedback and instant, air quote likes. So I guess there's some reward to it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So what do you notice in your Instagram as far as photos that you upload that people respond to more?
That's been tricky. Instagram has done some goofy things to their algorithm within the past couple of years that it's made it, at least for me, it's made it harder to judge that. But generally, the things that people respond to are usually the photos that I'm not usually terribly happy with. I know it's a decent photo, it's exposed the way it should be, it follows the traditional rules or whatever. But like sunset photos, I'm not a huge fan of sunset photos, but those photos are typically the photos that are used to do on my profile towards the top of the heap. It was usually sunset photos. Just I don't know. It's if you type sunset on Google Image, it's just image after image after image, hundreds, maybe thousands of images of just orange and ground. It's just,
sunset photos are great.
They are, but they are. It's just that it's I don't know.
So how are you going to get to the top of the Google search results?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I think every photographer says this, but I'd love to get into video. It's
video.
Just obviously it's a more, I wouldn't say, I don't know if it's a more powerful format, but there's definitely more to work with there. As far as that goes, yeah. How would I get myself to the top of this? That's the tricky part. Is the competition is absolutely killer. I mean, there's people that are more than willing to risk their life for Instagram likes.
That's true. That is totally true.
I mean,
I see people like
There's no joking about it. People are willing to climb to the top. I mean, here in Omaha, forget Dubai and people doing that crazy stuff. Here in Omaha, there's a grain elevator that's abandoned. It's old. It's near downtown, and it's maybe, I don't know, 300, 400 feet tall, and it's fairly common for people to climb up that rusty, rickety, crappy old building just to get some shots. And I don't know, it's not, I'd rather just buy a drone and fly it 300 feet in the air and get the shot rather than having to worry about breaking my neck,
Yeah, that works.
But that's the tricky part. People are willing to go to extremes to get to the top of the search results, and that's the tricky part. But locally, I would say just consistency of product. I mean, especially with getting into wedding stuff, I've been second shooting or assistant shooting for a wedding photographer here in Omaha, and it's been really impressive to see how quickly she's grown just in the time she's done it. And I think it's because she's provided a consistent, high quality, looking album, and you just get repeat customers, more traffic, so on and so forth.
So you have you learned a lot from this person that you're kind of shadowing behind?
Yeah, the thing that she is really, really good at, and that's the thing, is I don't think I have a single wedding photo up there. There's a couple reasons for that, but the thing that she's really, really good at is banging out the required shots. You're going to have a set list. We want to get bride and groom and the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, bride and groom and the family, and then this, these people from this side of the family. She's really good at being able to stack everyone in the line. Oh, you with the sunglasses, no sunglasses. Hey, you with the the hand in the pocket. Oh, if I could have you move your shoulder back, just with those minor movements, you wouldn't think that would make a huge difference in the final product. But if you look at a photographer that's just starting wedding stuff and one that knows how to place people and how to position them in the shade or in the light the way they need to be, it's pretty drastic once you see it all put together and see an image where that's not happening beside an image where it is happening. So
do you think that kind of thing is just years and years of practice and repetition, or is it something that someone kind of has when they're just from picking up a camera, they can have intuition for it?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone can pick it up and learn how to take a good shot. Just from following, basic rules of thirds. Try not to center things. Exposure rules. You want to make sure you don't have, totally overblown areas of a picture where like the entire sky is, white. But in some cases, that's what people aim for. But you'll also hear people say, well, he's got an eye for it, or she has a good eye. And I think there is something to be said for, people just kind of already having an ability to see the shot before they put the camera up to their face. Whereas there's been some shots I've taken a shot where I've seen something, I'm not sure what I'm picking up on. Like, let's say we're looking at the Desert Dome pictures there. I might be lagging behind here, but there's a picture of the geodesic dome here in Omaha, and there's a tree branch beside it, or in front of it.
Yes, we have that photo up here.
Perfect. In that shot, that started as a much larger shot. There was more of the tree. There was a bit of rocks exposed, and I think a path and part of a trash can. I saw something in that shot, but that shot's been cropped to what caught my eye, what I thought was interesting about the shot. So, like, for example, that shot was heavily cropped. So, maybe that's where I'm lacking. But I didn't see that final shot when I took the picture, but I knew something there caught my eye, and a lot of, to be honest, a lot of the stuff that I take comes together in the editing, process, in post, where, you'll have a shot, but the subject will be centered, or the exposure will be off, and I think, editing is probably just as important as going out and taking the photos, as far as color grading and then making, having the composure correct. And
Yeah, there's a lot you can do after the fact, for sure. So
it's amazing.
Has your Instagram, has that changed the way that you take photos now because you think about uploading it to Instagram? Just because the way it's like you have to crop it and all that, it has to be a square.
Yeah, they've gotten a little bit better on the square thing. Viewing with desktop, it's all square, but on the phone, it'll give you some landscape opportunity. It's still a cropped landscape, though, as far as I know. I'd have to upload it and check again. But the only time I really think about Instagram is as far as when I'm taking a shot. I wouldn't say I'm thinking about Instagram. When I'm thinking about Instagram is during the edit, when I'm trying to decide if I want to do a perfect square, crop on an image, or there's also color trends or color palettes that will trend on Instagram, which seems kind of odd. But
oh, really?
For a while there was like a kind of an LA noir sort of pink and blue sort of tint to almost everything. Almost any urban Instagrammer guy or gal you looked at, it would be like a cyberpunk sort of color scheme to it. Lots of pastel pinks and light blues and stuff like that. And you can probably see that in a few of the city shots where
yeah, I think I do.
Kind of gone with that trend. But also at the same time, it's shooting in a city is tricky because you have the sodium lights, the orange lights, and 90% of the time that orange light is by far the least appealing light you could shine on anything.
So what do you do? What do you do to get around that?
Yeah, that's going to be in the white balance. What I will usually do is you have a temperature for the color itself, and it's basically as simple as dragging the bar to a cooler temperature, or you can go in and you can select the color channel and drag back the oranges just so the orange isn't so overbearing, because there's times where an entire shot the overall predominant color for the entire shot will just be orange, and it's all just because of the city lights, and it's just a really unappealing color, it seems.
That makes sense. So I have another question. So if someone was starting out and wanted to be a photographer and that was their goal, what would you say is a good thing to start taking pictures of? Like, where would you start?
Yeah, whatever you're interested in.
Just whatever you're interested in?
Yeah. The people that I've seen have the most success with photography were already involved. I know of a guy who's successful with car photography, and he was already heavily involved with the car scene, with car meetups and organizing things, and he got into photography and he started shooting cars. So that's where obviously he's going to find the most success with it. There was I know another lady, which she's a nurse, and she got into maternity photos. It's just kind of if it's the show, right? So
yeah, whatever comes naturally to you. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for example, you would maybe shoot music shows, or I can't presume to necessarily know, but yeah, you'll see guys that who are music enthusiasts or concert enthusiasts or local music enthusiasts, I guess would be the better term. And when they start shooting, they'll start shooting the local scenes, and it just I'd say whatever interests you. Don't shoot something that makes you bored by any means.
I've thought about trying to learn how to do some photography. Mostly, like, the way I translate it is I like doing paintings with paint, and
yeah,
I feel like if I take a picture of something in real life, it could help me like understand how color works and how like compositions work.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's absolutely no question about that, and I've actually heard that before on other interviews or documentaries where the two are correlated, and as far as composition goes, it's identical. The rule of thirds. There's a bunch of rules. There's a bunch of rules I'm missing right now, but rule of thirds is by far the biggest one. Is basically dividing your screen or your canvas into thirds, and what's kind of hard.
That's your focal point. There's a lot of aspects.
Yeah, basically, bottom left, bottom right, upper left, upper right. You want to kind of keep your subject off to one side or another. Just you're trying to avoid the snapshot, the here's my kid's a Disney shot where it's just someone standing dead center in the photo and the camera's held at head height. That's everyone's walking around all day with their eyes at head height, normal height. So if you just taking a photo while standing at normal height, that's one way to immediately get that kind of snapshot feel where it just feels like a photo from Disney or a car made.
It's like way set up.
Yeah, so it's just kind of try and getting angles that people don't normally see things from. Taking a knee, crouching over, turning the camera sideways.
Oh hey, Duas is here.
I crashed it. Yeah, I crashed the podcast.
I was like, who is that?
I was waiting till you noticed. I was like, I crashed this podcast. I was just act as if I was here the whole time. That was my motivation.
It's no sweat. I was just BSing the entire time.
No, it's perfect.
I couldn't even tell. But I just know about art, so it's like perfect way for me to slide in. I was like, but yeah, you got your focal point. Odd numbers are interesting. You don't want it too even, otherwise it seems like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's so many rules of thumb. I crashed the podcast.
Yeah, no, I really like that way of putting it though, where you walk around all day and you see everything at head height. So why would you want to look at something else that's just like that?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a good example of that orange color tone I was talking about. I just dropped it in your
okay, I see.
Discord
That's
there.
perfect. That looks really nice.
Where that orange just absolutely destroys what was sitting there. The car's not. I guess you could tell the car was white in that photo, but it's tough to tell if the car is necessarily tan or maybe it's
very
cream.
orange.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, do you have any questions, Duas?
Yeah, I was wondering who this gentleman is. He seems pretty cool.
Hey.
I'd like to know more about you. I crashed this, so I'm kind of showing up late to the party.
Oh, it's just no sweat.
Fashionably, of course.
It's no
Fashionably, of course.
My name is Ray. I'd like to call myself a photographer from Omaha, Nebraska.
Are you in Phoenix right now?
Oh no, I'm not.
He just said Omaha, Nebraska.
You can be from Nebraska.
You have to be stuck
anywhere.
where you're born forever. That's how it works.
That's true.
Surprised, you can be from somewhere, and usually with the from, it entails like.
Yeah,
somewhere else.
like I moved. Yeah, that's true.
There's a strong implication there, but maybe I got misconstrued. But no, that's cool.
It's my eagerness to disavow Omaha.
Oh, eagerness! I need a button for like a sample to be like. Every time someone's so eager.
We're gonna get that. We're working on that technology.
It's just gonna turn into a wacky radio show.
Oh man, yes.
Like woo, woo.
I said Pee Wee's word of the day, or is that what it was? Yeah. The sirens have to go off, and then you just have to start screaming.
No, it was the secret word.
Secret word. That's what it was. Yeah.
Secret word. Yeah, tomato. It's close enough. It sounds right in memory, so.
Ray, I got a very important question for you.
Oh my.
Would you ever do nude photography?
That's actually a good question. I think that's a good question.
It's like comedy involved.
and the models being nude, not you being nude.
Yeah, that's preferred. I think that's preferred for everyone.
Stipulation. You gotta explain that.
I'm in a few photography groups, and there's people that say, "Oh man, man, what a gig, right? I could be a boudoir photographer, right? Man, that would be awesome. So what they do is they say, well, I need an album. So to get an album, I need people to take photos of. So they go to modeling groups on Facebook, or they'll go to Tinder, which is actually kind of I know some guys that'll get models off Tinder. Hey, you want free, good photos, and they get to know them, and I don't know.
I don't know what happens next.
I don't even know where this is going.
It's shady. I guess the whole thing about it, shady. Anyways, to skip all that part.
Internet photography. I mean, it's gonna be shady.
Yeah. So now they've got their album with attractive ladies doing the boudoir shoots and nude shoots, right? And now they've got an advertisement base, right? So they can say, Jim's boudoir photography. Here we are. And now what happens is you're setting yourself up in a position where anyone who wants you to photo them nude, semi-nude, I mean, if you want the money from them, you'll obviously take a photo. And some of these folks, if the photos are posted online, especially on like someone's Facebook business profile and it's boudoir shot, obviously the model or the person has given them the okay to post it, and then you have Facebook guidelines, so it's usually just boudoir type stuff. There's no complete nudity, but you'll find you'll find some
familiar with the term, but
scandalous.
Tasteful nudity. It's like tasteful though. It's like able to be on.
Yeah,
so it's like just no nipples or like nothing.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and that's basically low key for saying I'll also do more creative.
It's getting your foot in the door. Yeah, getting your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's some strong implications there.
Yeah. Basically that's what I've seen everyone pretty much call themselves that does those types of shoots. And I can guarantee they'll be happy to shoot someone naked if they were asked. But like I said, you're gonna get all walks of life, all sorts of different body shapes and sizes that all want to be photoed, nude or semi-nude.
It's a hot commodity,
and it's kind of like the
nowadays it takes. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But now all it takes is just a couple $100, and then you just practice, and you get models to practice, just get a nice camera for like what, $400-$500,
Yeah, that's one of the things where the sky's the limit on those. There's no.
I'm not demeaning the whole scene, but that's just because it's so easy with the internet and this like
$400
of Amazon. You can just buy
we'll get you more than enough start than a lot of people.
So really anyone could just, not anyone, but like you could start off, it takes skill to be good, but
no, yeah, I would almost say anyone. I mean,
start off with that, like
we had kind of brought it up.
Now recording.
We kind of brought it up earlier with the natural born talent thing, like he's got an eye for it or she's got an eye for it, and there is some of that, but a shitload of it is picking it up. YouTube tutorials. Yeah, absolutely. It's a skill.
Some people claim like to have I've been told recently someone's like, oh yeah, you have an innate ability to play music. It's like, no, I didn't. It's like
you kind of learned
you don't know the several hundred hours I put in over the couple 10 years, or
sure.
Just 10 years, but
sure.
So applied wise, it's like you don't see behind closed doors how much someone works at something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you do this great. You were born with this talent, and I feel personally like that's kind of insulting. It's like, I work towards this. Like,
in a way, it definitely is. But like, for example, I was someone who was. Now, granted, if I wanted to train and put in hours at a musical talent, I'm sure I could pick up something and play it.
Anyone could. I agree. Dude.
Yeah, play it poorly, but I definitely was not.
Truly, dude.
Have you seen the movie The Jerk with oh man, I'm missing his name. Forget it. We'll forget that reference.
No, I know The Jerk. Yeah, I know The Jerk.
Okay, yeah. The guy. The premise is
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin he has absolutely no rhythm. Like a song came on the radio and he's just.
Dude, I have that same problem.
I'm not a musical guy. I really suck. That's the problem.
Dude. I'm a musician. You know, I had a musician job for a little bit, and like, but for the first 3 years of me playing, I had white people syndrome. I swear to God, dude. Like, I could not keep a beat, and I was always like, "What the fuck? Why is my music sound different than everyone else's?" But after like 3.5 years, like, it took me a long time. It's like, I guess that's where I'm more insulted by, you know, like I didn't have this innate ability. It's not like I picked up playing music. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I think this is easy. No, it was hard for me, dude. So like, I could imagine that same thing with like photography or any other canvas of art form, you know, like painting, you know.
Yeah, there's definitely
1 in a million or 1 in 100 people. They're just like, oh yeah, this is easy as a kid, you know.
And we kind of talked about how I got started, and it just started with a cell phone, where I would say almost everyone has taken a good shot with a cell phone. You're like, oh wow, that was a good photo. That turned out well.
Like, wow, even under that quality, you know.
Yeah, and that's what kind of just, you know, started that as far as that goes, where it's just, wow, that, huh.
Who have you taken pictures of, or like anyone, like any big bands, or any? Are you into band photography, or like just individual model?
You know, the as far as some of the band photography, I haven't done a whole lot of band photography here in Omaha.
It's a different, yeah, Omaha. Yeah, I understand.
Well, there's a fairly decent local music scene here.
Is it kind of southern, or like not southern, but is it kind of like typically country? Sorry,
No, it's all good.
But I've never been to Nebraska, so I can't like.
Omaha kind of is like kind of wishes it was like maybe an Austin or a Portlandish. You know, when you get downtown,
cool,
yeah, it's not bad. When you get downtown, I guess you could, you know, I hate to use the word, but you know, I'll put air quotes around it. You could say maybe a little hipster-ish. Like I said, I hate using the word, but yeah, it's like it's a cool vibe once you get downtown.
Any downtown scene can be gentrified or like.
Yeah, that's definitely not Nashville.
Man.
Yeah.
So like, it's not too far fetched for me to understand, but I always like to understand about different music scenes. You know, like, I apologize for my ignorance about not being in Nebraska, but people probably feel the same way about Phoenix, man. You know.
No, I like Phoenix. I actually, the Southwest is. I drove a semi truck for about 2 years. So,
oh, wow, so you've been all over.
So I got to see a good, you know, well, not a good part. I got to see all of the states, and I absolutely, I'm dying. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but I feel like I left something in the Southwest, and I don't want to pick on just one state, just because it's a huge area and it kind of has its own.
There's a couple. We got 3 or 4 states. Still
and it has its own vibe to it, and it's, I don't know.
It's hot here, but. And the people suck sometimes, but you find the really good people here are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, should I be cursing?
No, you're good. It's fine. No, you're fine.
Okay, I was like, I'm not used to this.
Stop fucking cursing, man. They're fucking children.
NSFW.
Shut the fuck up, dude. I'm trying to concentrate on not fucking.
Hey. Okay, so do you know when you came to Phoenix, did you notice that it's like cleaner than other cities? Because I've heard that before. I've heard that before, like where we like take better care of our streets or something. There's always like people cleaning up, sweeping the streets and stuff.
Well, all the litter just gets blown away.
Or that.
There's nowhere for it to hide, if I'm being honest, you know?
So the worst
highway, there's rocks. It's like, where's it gonna get caught on? It's like, yeah, it's gonna look nicer, but it blows somewhere, dude.
The worst thing about driving a truck is that you only got to basically take a penny and just scratch a little tiny corner of the surface of that city or state, because you're on an interstate.
For one night.
Yeah, the truck stop is
sleeping
right off the interstate, and it's a truck stop, so it's not always the best part of town or the most built up part of town, and as they all look the same. Once you get to a certain point, I mean, they're literally all built the same.
Basically.
Yeah, they're all built the same. They do it on purpose, like Cracker Barrel, for example. Every single one.
Off that. Or QT.
Yeah,
QT
exactly. They're all mapped, built exactly the same. So after a certain point, you kind of get numb to it. But what I would key up on is the drive in and out of places, because you see plenty of that. The highway in and the highway out. Yeah, just the southwest. I'm dying to get to Monument Valley, which I know isn't necessarily a hop, skip, and a jump away from you, but
I have no idea what that is, if I'm being honest.
yeah, I'll drop a shot. Think Cars 1, the movie.
Oh, you mean like Route 66, bro?
Kind of, but think of those rock formations, the crazy rock formations that kind of
Oh,
look like
kind of
cars.
Sedona-esque, if you will.
Yeah.
But more New Mexico-ish, right?
Oh yeah.
Bingo. Yeah.
That's
It's
nice.
right there on the border.
I'm an idiot. I have to ask questions like this. I'm like, I have to clarify these things.
No, I get confused on it because it's on the border. it's literally, I mean, we're talking right on the border, Utah, Arizona. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't even think I've ever been to Utah. So
I was born in Utah,
that makes sense. So, wow, I don't think I can speak to you anymore, Alex.
right?
I gotta cancel that
You
charity
aren't
event.
native.
All right. So Ray, have you ever explored other artistic mediums besides photography?
Yeah. I don't know if they're probably not on my Instagram anymore. They might be. You'd have to do a scroll to the bare bottom. Yeah, I had to Wacom for a little while. I wasn't great at it, but at the same time, you know,
Wacom.
a drawing tablet, basically a.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
For us uneducated folk.
It was just a big square thing, and it just plugs USB into the computer. It's just like a mouse, but
Yeah, it's
with
for
a pen.
drawing on a computer, so you use a pen.
It's like almost like a.
It's a tablet.
It's a tablet with like a stylus, basically,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. It's just
Okay.
it was like the cheapy one, but there's like no
Cool.
screen. It was just like almost like a laptop trackpad.
Cool.
You know,
Just for us lowbrow individuals, you know.
Nah, I think you could pick them up for like $40 or $50 now. If you're into sketching, anything like that.
Yeah, I've got a little Wacom.
Yeah, I'm a
Highly
musician.
recommend. Yeah.
I traded all my artistic tokens for music tokens.
Hey,
I
character.
was okay for a little bit, but then
Yeah.
I was just better at guitar, so I just stuck with it.
Hey,
Music's my medium, you know.
nothing wrong
I
with that.
have my artist friends, so we all help each other out. You
So
know?
you had drawings that you made.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still up there or not, but
mean,
I liked painting.
So
and,
towards the end, maybe, or towards the oldest stuff, maybe. I'll look through.
Yeah, if they're still up there, you'll see them.
There's a lot of photos. Yeah, you have tons.
Yeah,
Okay,
I tried to post anywhere between 1 to 2 a day,
That's
and then
fantastic.
lately
Yeah.
That's
lately
cool.
I've
That's
completely
really cool,
dropped.
dude.
If you're next to something, you can look at it. It's Instagram.com/Ray Heckert.
Oh yeah, just send me the link,
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
and then I'll send you the link so you can like my band.
Oh. Oh.
It's called mutualism, man. Connections, dude.
Oh, jeez. Okay, what am I sending? I'm sending Dwa something. Alright, send it on Facebook.
Because we're doing the eager to heal thing, you know.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so I have another
So do you
question.
have
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Alex. Do you have? Or you told the artists that they're gonna do a raffle for a painting, right? Or painting for the raffle. I apologize.
I didn't talk to him about that yet. Let's
We should let them know prior. That way they have time to work on it.
yeah,
But
let's talk about that at the end of the
neither
podcast.
here nor there.
Let's
But
let's focus on our guests.
I told you I've crashed this
How
podcast,
dare you.
man.
How dare
I'm
you.
lawless, man. I'm a lawless individual, man.
I think
The
I
wings
have.
are on fire.
Okay, Ray, I got a question. All right, I got a
Call
question.
me Icarus.
Okay, I found some of your drawings. I actually found some of your drawings.
Yo,
They're
let me
up
get
on
let me
yeah,
get
they're
back.
up there on the screen there. Okay, so have you ever considered selling your photos as like stock photos?
Yeah, that's another one of those things where it's let's see, it's hard to the market's so flooded now
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Instagram.
basically, yeah, if you want to sell
Instagram
stock
of all the
stock
photos.
photos, there's a couple of websites out there that'll work with stock photos, and let's say you want to do just shots with glasses, clear glasses, and water. So you want to get shots of of a water pitcher being poured into a glass, or maybe a glass dumping water out, stock shots of water in a glass. Okay, so let's say you take a really good shot. You got 12 shots that are all solid shots of something to do with water, a glass, maybe maybe ice, whatever. And you post those up onto one of those websites that deals with stock photos. And let's say someone buys the photo, enjoy your nickel.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, like you get a nickel? Okay.
That's one of those things to where the people have kind of been, back in the day when the market wasn't so saturated. There's probably like a handful of people in the United States that were pros, so to speak, at stock shots. So they'd probably go to that person to see what his catalog was, and he'd probably be able to set his own price, or maybe they had the equivalent of agencies that you'd work through. But now it's the photographer working with directly, and they're basically giving away the work. They're posting it first, and then people can select whether or not they want to buy it. But it's
I think one thing I could equate that to is like if you make beats for rappers or something. Like there's the same type of thing where it's just so saturated. There's no it's almost impossible to get into doing that.
Yeah, you'll get your nickel, and that'll be it. So, I mean, if you're working on crazy volume, sure.
I have an interesting question, or like something I think is interesting. So the terms and agreements to Instagram, like all those photos you're adding to Instagram, they legally own those, correct?
No. From what I could gather,
like what's like.
I think what they can do with your photos is they could use them for marketing purposes, but
put you on the front page or whatever, like the sponsored photo.
You really see that happens. But as far as I don't want to overstep or misspeak. I wanted to say federal law or some sort of a federal case or something like that. Basically, it boils down to whoever pressed the button. And that kind of came to light with a recent news story, and you might have seen it. There was a baboon that took its own picture, obviously by mistake. It was a selfie. No way. Yeah. Wow. And what's that?
No, I said, oh wow.
But yeah, so basically this baboon took its own photo, and there was a huge legal debate. Whose photo?
Was it a good photo?
It was awesome. Solid, yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
Was it blurry or anything? Or
it might have been blurry, but the camera had autofocus.
But still has value because of the story. That photo has value.
Exactly, and it came down to who owns that photo. And
does that monkey technically own its own? Like that's the monkey, like technically, if we're breaking it down.
See, look, there you go. He just got the picture, and the headline reads, "Monkey selfie is mine, UK photographer argues." So I can't remember the story right now, but I think it boiled down to whoever pressed the button at the end of the day.
Because he owned the camera.
Do you think they respect? Do you think the lawyers at Instagram would respect that? I know that's kind of.
I would think if Instagram wanted to use other people's photos for profit,
they'll give you credit.
No, they wouldn't give you credit. I think they'd be hard pressed to do it, and I think it would just be a self-inflicted wound.
So is the monkey going to sue us?
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I need to look into that link again because the story is just so outlandish, But it brought up an interesting point.
All I'm saying is the monkey going to sue us for having his photo on our stream right now?
The monkey's lawyers are, because they're hungry for money. Sorry for any lawyers.
Settlement between PETA.
PETA was involved? Oh wow!
Absolutely ridiculous.
Oh my god! Really?
That's crazy.
This plot just thickens and thickens.
Yeah, I knew there was something around that, but yeah, that's what I thought I remembered. Is it basically came down to who performed the action.
You've intrigued me in this case now, because now this monkey has all this power. This monkey has like a whole ultimatum and a decision to be made.
I would think if Instagram was going to do something nefarious with people's photographs to somehow gain traction, I just don't see it happening.
I would be more worried about, like, if you had to contest it, ultimately you're going up against Instagram's lawyers versus your own You know, but maybe I'm more cynical than the average individual. You know, like
No,
being
I know.
honest.
I think a healthy amount of skepticism,
Yeah.
is definitely warranted. Just because who would necessarily? I
Who
don't.
do art, you know? Like
Yeah,
if you make an art, who's it
yeah,
for? You know?
but
Right,
I
can
just
you do-
don't. I just haven't seen anywhere where Instagram is stepping in between artists and the customers that are already buying that artist's
yeah.
work. So
And that's something
you know.
I personally haven't investigated, so I can't
Yeah.
necessarily.
Well, wouldn't that
Like,
give
so I'm just
Instagram negative
speculating.
publicity?
Oh, absolutely. It kind of reminds me of like a YouTube situation where
Robbie Blind.
YouTube is running ads on on someone's posted video, and
It just makes sense on the dollar.
and I guess with YouTube it would get a little more dicey, but I don't know. Instagram I think is either the number 1 or number 2 most used app now. Like I said,
Yep.
that's an old stat. I could be off now, but
I would agree with that, honestly.
I just
YouTube every day.
I would think if Instagram wanted to use someone's photo in let's say a television ad, maybe I'm not sure if they wanted to use someone's photo.
Theoretically, yeah, like
I'm almost willing to bet they would add them, like on the screen in the corner they'd say
exactly.
add.
That's at least give them some credibility. Or
Yeah, I think Instagram knows their audience well enough that
you wouldn't screw anyone because it would harm their own
in Instagram the whole not giving credit thing in profiles is a huge kind of a pet peeve for like a lot of photographers.
Man, it's interesting. That's really interesting.
I'd imagine it is for any artist who doesn't get credit that's due to them.
That's what sparks my interest of inciting this question. Really, is just because like hypothetically, if photography is different than music, but like if I posted every song to SoundCloud and SoundCloud's like, hey, we own your song now, that would scare me. Like that would be startling. It's like, hey, we can do whatever we want with this.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, will I get anything from this? That's where like if you compare it to art like mediums, and not much changes but the relatability to the person.
I would just think that it'd be so much of a self-defeating action that I would just be so surprised for them to pull such a move like that. To claim work or
stories. Oh, sorry, but I've heard of stories like where my friend goes to GCC, like Glendale Community College, for music. And like one of his professors talked about a story that he knew someone personally who got a record deal in LA, and like it seemed like it was all pro bono, like they're just like into it, and then ended up like after the fact getting like a $60,000 bill, and then since they couldn't pay it, the record company owned their music, and they heard other people playing their same songs.
Did they sign a contract with the record company or?
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't read it or something of the,
Man.
it didn't seem like too far-fetched of a story. But it feels like, imagine living that life, It's just like,
that's no
that's
good.
horrendous. It's like, literally listening, like that, I can't even think that's its own personal hell. Like,
that's no good.
Writing music that like, I don't know. So maybe I'm just like, I'm trying to walk on thin ice, but I'm...
Well, there's definitely been plenty of musicians that have been shafted. I mean, I can't.
Now recording.
What is that? You keep doing that.
Why'd you do that? It was like
keeps
Because
going.
I don't know.
That pops in every time you join.
It shouldn't,
Yeah.
but I guess it does.
But no, you got Tin Pan Alley, where all the black artists were like really good musicians, like they got exploited and they had to write like 10 songs a day. And not many people know about that. That was like 1930s, 1940s,
Sure.
And it's like, so there are people like exploited in that sense, like.
I can't remember the article right now or the story, but it was. I guess what I hear a lot about is a lot of sound producers that'll do soundtracks for movies.
Audio production, basically.
Yeah, those guys seem to get the short end of the stick a lot, where such and such will be promised, and the movie or production will
it's
will do.
$300 like an hour, like for good, and like they're making like less than a quarter of that, even though they're doing the work. Like I could, there's so many things I could definitely understand about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about theme songs that that most of the nation could have in the back of their head after seeing this movie, and the guy, the guy who wrote it, didn't get as much as a happy movie.
Oh, you mean this one?
We have a guest. It's a guitar.
Oh yeah, can you hear it at all?
Yeah, we hear it perfectly. Yeah. So
is it compressed like?
No, it's not
a
too
little
bad.
bit.
Let's see if I got this.
All right.
If this is okay.
All right.
But I'm crashing.
Go for it.
Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now. Come on, Scooby Doo.
Oh jeez.
Pretend you've got a slipper. You're not fooling me, 'cause I can see the way you shake and shiver. Come on, Scooby Doo, if you come through, you're gonna be ready for your ride. Don't hold back. Scooby Doo, if you go through, you're gonna have yourself a Scooby snack. That's a fact. That's as far as I'm going, because it just repeats basically.
It was kind of compressed, but yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm crashing this business, bro.
I'll tell you what, Ray. It's been a pleasure
Playing
having you on.
Scooby-Doo when I want, dude. Playing Scooby-Doo when I want on this podcast.
It's been a pleasure having Ray on and having Dwas on, even though he was unexpected.
Not a problem.
So. Everyone,
Sorry, Ray, I apologize.
check out
No, it's fine.
Ray on
It was
Instagram.
a beautiful conversation, though, dude.
For
I will
sure.
follow you. I'll have Alex send you a link to my band and see if you like us.
Yeah,
But I
please
saw
do.
your images and I like them.
Thanks,
So
man. Appreciate it.
yeah, I'm not trying to butter you up or anything. I'm just.
All right, so
I'm not one for lies.
Instagram.com/Ray Heckert.
Heckert.
RayHeck
Whoa, whoa.
HECKERT.
Hacker, I hardly even know her.
We'll put a link with the video as well. Okay. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
It's been
man.
a lot of
Anytime.
fun. All right, Andrew. One thing I want to say is that graph you put of the top 10 mobile apps, it's from over a year ago, so it could be completely different now.
I couldn't find one for now.
How
so.
dare you? I'm just kidding. It's all good. Okay, so we have we still have that Eager to Heal charity event coming up soon. Duwas is gonna be playing
Hey,
there.
I'll be there, dude.
It's gonna be on December
be
8th.
there.
December
I'll
8th.
be doing stuff like this.
He's gonna be doing that. He's gonna play Scooby Doo. That's December 8th.
I
Tickets
actually might play Scooby-Doo.
Tickets are available at eagerelectronics.com. We have physical tickets now. We will mail you a ticket if you purchase one. They're nice. There's a picture on our Facebook page of the tickets.
Oh, it looks so good, dude. I'm so stoked on them, honestly.
Okay, we have a guest lineup. We have some guests lined up for the show too. Because we went to Indy 500 last weekend, which is a big music festival basically, and I talked to a bunch of people there, and I got probably 3 or 4 different guests lined up. So that'll be nice. Yeah, we got some guests.
What do you
man.
mean? What do you mean by guests? Like artists?
Yes, artists.
Okay. Well, I also Playboy Man Baby might show up.
Okay, we have. Wait, did you say
And
we
Way
had someone
Under.
else, Andrew?
Do we have someone else?
Didn't you say there's? Would you say?
Oh, yeah,
Smiling faces. Smiling faces. They're good.
Yeah.
I like them. And then there was another guy
Yeah,
that
and
I
then we
talked
can
to.
go past the. But I might have got Playboy Man Baby, which is a big hit,
Yes.
and Way Under.
Really?
Yeah. Way Under they both seem more than likely, but we can go past the time and we can cut so like I don't have to play a solo set, you know?
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
We could save time. We could do whatever we have to, and then we also have the keys.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be so much fun. We're gonna have a lot of bands playing.
Santa?
We're gonna have some sick bands playing. We're gonna have some.
Santa's gonna be there.
Artists.
We gotta do some.
Santa?
Santa is literally gonna be there. Yeah. Santa's gonna
Santa
be there.
is going to be there. It's like It's like Slash, dude.
We're gonna have raffle giveaways. We're gonna give away a guitar
Yeah, I want to do
pedal.
live painting raffles. We got to tell each of the artists to do a painting to raffle off.
We're working on the raffles. We have at least a guitar pedal raffle. We definitely have T-shirts being raffled. We definitely
T-shirts
have,
and I want to do each painting. Each person can get like each person doing painting could like donate one of them. You know.
tons of
That way
charity.
there's like
And when's
dude,
the t-shirt
tons of charity,
For
dude.
St. Jude's Children's
2,000
Research Hospital.
charities. It's gonna be amazing.
No,
I'll be
what
doing
about the
stuff like
t-shirts
this,
when they're
I'll be
coming
like-
out?
So yeah, so all the benefit is going to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. They help children with cancer. Look them up. They're good charity.
Children with cancer
Donate-
are great, but
money
children's
to them.
cancer sucks.
Yes.
Children's cancer is cancerous.
Wow. Okay. What else do we have? Oh yeah,
Funny
I
song.
just created a Fiverr account. So if you
What
need
is that? Hold on. What is that?
Fiverr is you go on there and there's people, and if you need
Oh,
some-
Fiverr.
yeah. So if you need something done, like something. Okay, so I made an account, and I'm doing freelance programming. So if you need anything programmed, like hit me up.
That's cool.
I
I
have
need to
reasonable
set up a
prices.
Fiverr.
Yeah, so there's like tons of random stuff on there. Like if you want like a song written, someone will pay you like
Dude, that's what I was
$15.
thinking I should do.
you could totally do that, and you can do different like tiers of like how much it costs and like
A $50 song? Anyone want a $50
no,
song?
you
That'd
can do
help me
that.
out with my
you can,
rent.
you can do that. You can make a Fiverr account.
Anyone on this podcast wants a $50 song? That'd be cool.
If anyone wants to be on our podcast, at any point, we do it on Wednesdays and Saturdays, right? 5 p.m. Mountains time. All right. If you want to be on our podcast, all you have to do is literally just get into our Discord chat. It's like completely open. Like anybody can jump in. Duas just jumped in. I don't even know he was coming in.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Just like somebody we all know playing the guitar.
And we're gonna continue to do this and leave it open until it becomes completely out of control. So as long as it's not completely out of control, literally anybody can come on our podcast.
Yeah, you guys need to check security because I got through.
He got right through. No security. Okay. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks Ray for coming on. We had some pretty sick photos. I
Yeah,
guess
Ray, I'm glad to talk to you. I'm glad I crashed this whole thing.
Thanks to the one person watching.
that's probably me, honestly. Anyway, goodbye.
Oh man.